This is a Armond Jet Star Special. Can't find any specifics on it, but I think it was built in the 1990s. It was built in Indonesia. It says that right on the back, and it's got a serial number on it. But as far as I've been told, I think it's a lower price model, so it's, you know, like a learner's guitar type thing. Just give you some close-ups on it. From what I've been told on the internet, it uses cheaper tuners. And it uses American pickups. Got a plastic nut, 9.5 inch radius. The strings are about 2 years old, and you can see the rust on them. They're pretty nasty. The pickups, I can't think of the name right now, but I'll put them up here. The bridge is literally put on backwards. The last time somebody worked on this guitar, they literally put the bridge on backwards. You see the grooves here. See how large these grooves are? See how high and tiny you can't even see the grooves on the lower large strings. The bridge is supposed to be flipped over. Okay, and somebody overcranked the jack really hard, so you can see in the light there they cracked the finish. So my friend wants me to check the electronics and work on the bridge. So I just found out, so I haven't told him that all I have to do is flip it around. But even if I have to replace the pots, which I don't think I will, I might have to replace the switch though. But even if I have to, I'm going to have to keep these knobs because these are custom knobs. See? For Armond. And looking at the rear access panel, there's a couple of screws missing. I don't know if this is too close for my camera to see it or not, but so my friend asked me to check out the jack because I was having some issues with that. So coming up from the front, okay, so that's where it's in proper position. The problem here is that's where the person wants to put it. That's where it needs to go. Okay, so in proper position, the cord is literally popped out. Oh, just over 1/16 of an inch. So I will mention that to him and ask him if he wants me to replace it. And now that I was looking at it, I started messing with my wire, and look what happens. So that's an issue. I think all I have to do is probably put a washer down there, maybe a lock washer. We'll see. Okay, so I was looking through the wiring, and this was my fault. I think I just pulled it right off. So either I pulled too hard, or the wiring was not soldered well to begin with. So that's an easy fix. I'll just put it right back where it was. If you look at that solder joint, looks like a pretty cold joint. It doesn't look like it was heated properly. And these pots are so small you don't dare heat them up too much. First thing, there was one steel washer on the inside. There's two steel washers on the outside under the nut. These were obviously not holding it, and somebody tried way too hard to make it stick because they cracked the finish. This body is wood, but the outer shell, I know the word but I can't think of it now. Just anyway, it's solid and it's cracked. He wanted me to look at the switch here, and I can't do anything with this. It's one of these, so I can't get to it. I can't tighten it down or anything. I would have to replace it entirely. So my main concern is to get the jack to where the wires are facing the rest of them and to make it stick, make it stay there. So I scavenged a lock washer off of the pot that I'm not using at the moment. I'm going to see if that helps tighten this jack up. That lock washer was too small. I had to go up to the lock washer that's on the shaft of a push-pull. That seems to have helped. Obviously I only did it once, so I'll go through it several times. Before I go any further, these are 500K pots, which, you know, that's typical for humbuckers. They're about half the size. They're about alpha size, so it wouldn't surprise me if that's actually what they are. They say D500 on them, and they've got an insignia. It's covered up with solder and wire. I can't see it. And this one says B500. Alright, since I put that lock washer in there, I'm going to resolder these wires that popped right off, and then I'm going to play a little bit of it with it, see how it sounds. Before I do that, I just thought I'd measure these tiny wires coming off the pickups. They're like 26. They're seriously small. So it really doesn't take much to play a guitar or wire a guitar. There's literally less than a quarter of a volt, I think, going through a guitar. seem to be doing their job. They're a little bit staticky. I wouldn't mind replacing them, but not my call. The switch is a bit, it's worn out, but it's still holding where it should. Just seems to have a little static, which, you know, means it's wearing out. But I think it's still tolerable. So next thing to do is flip over the bridge. I could adjust the pickups while I'm waiting for a set of strings from him. Another thing I need to mention is, okay, look at the angle here. See how tall the bridge is? It has to match the angle of the neck. For now I'm going to call the wiring good. I'm going to I put the screws back in their holes so that I wouldn't lose them even in my magnetic cup. You never know how long you're going to have the screws out, so I like to keep them in there so that the holes don't change shape. One thing I did want to mention though is a couple of these holes, the wood is cracked. I would consider putting some super glue in there, but they seem to be pretty snug, pretty secure even with the cracks, so I'm just going to leave them alone. Alright, make sure all the wires are in position, nothing's going to get pinched. Don't over tighten them, you'll just shred the wood. Alright, I'm just gonna BB King this thing and see how good it sounds with his setups. So we're gonna do the neck pickup 9/64. So that was for the high E neck position. I'm going to do 13/64 for the low E. And then this is without putting the strings down. So the bridge we're going to do also 9/64. That one's actually accurate. And then we're going to do back down to 9/64 for the high. Okay, that was easy. It was almost accurate. And once I flip the bridge around, I'm probably gonna have to do it all over again, which, you know, whatever. It's fine. So I got a new pack of strings, and I'm gonna unstring these old nasty rusty ones, and I'm going to test fit them, see how long they actually are, so I can make the new ones the same length, because he likes as few wraps as possible. The more wraps you have, the longer it's gonna take to stretch the string out and tighten them up and not go out of tune. Okay, so the high E string goes right up to the edge of the head stock. The B goes about 1/2 inch past the G string. The G string goes about 1/4 inch past the tip of the headstock. Well, that's about 1/2 inch. The D string goes to the tip of the headstock. The A string goes to the second point of the headstock. Not the tip, but the second point. And the low E reaches the D string. I'm going to show you why the bridge is backwards here. I can see why the guy did this. It makes total sense to me to have the screws in the back where you can reach them. But in fact, if you actually look at it, see how they the grooves are different sizes here. The grooves are different sizes. All you really have to do is match those to the strings and you'll never get it wrong. And one other thing is, you see how these are facing the opposite direction as these. They're supposed to do that. Okay. Now we're going to put this on the correct way. I see a little rust here. I might have to deal with that rust before I go any further. The bottom of the bridge saddle says, or bridge says BR-EG, and it's got the circled G. So I'm cleaning the bridge with a cleaning solvent, and it's making it look a lot younger. I'm not being rough with it. I'm not soaking it, just covering it using a microfiber cloth. And getting back to where I started, this rust came right off. The neck looks a little dry, so I'm going to put some lemon oil on it. I'm cleaning the headstock and tuning gears. They feel like they're in good condition. There's not a lot of wobble. Normally I would use steel wool or something to clean this up, but I know this guy doesn't like steel wool, so I'm not going to do it. Now, okay, the low E was to the edge of the headstock. Alright, got that sorted out. So, E string to the edge of the headstock. Yes. B string half an inch past the G string. Okay. D string tip of the headstock. A string to the second point of the headstock. Perfect. And the low E to the D string. You can save these and use them for other things. Something I completely forgot to check was the gear ratio, so I'm just going to check that right now. So I'm seeing this point where the hole is. Okay. Alright, so I'm seeing where the hole is here. I'm going to watch that and see how many times it takes to make one circle, for me to rotate it to make one circle, and that's the gear ratio. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it's probably 16 to 1. See if I can do this again to get it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's 14 to 1. I also forgot to say that I often put graphite in the string slots. Let's see, this stuff, just any graphite powder, but this guitar, I think it was dirt more than graphite, but I just left it. So now I'll bring it up to pitch, and then I will intonate it on the 12th string. It's going to take about 3 times of going through each string to bring it up to proper pitch, and then you're going to stretch the strings. Call them pre-stretching. It should be out of tune now. Yep. Well, if there was any crackle, I can't hear it anymore. When you're adjusting the pickups height, it should each position should have generally the same reaction when you're flipping the switch. time now to tune it up again and intonate. And you always want to do that in playing position. Alright, it's completely tuned. So let's see how bad intonation is. A needs to be moved. D needs to be moved. G might be just a bit sharp. B is very sharp. E is very sharp. Alright, here's what's going on. These adjustment screws are too soft to adjust. I put some lubricant in here on the threads. That loosened them up a little bit, but the head on this screw is just useless. So in order to change the pitch on the string, in order to lower the pitch, you need to move the saddle away from the neck, that way. And in order to raise the pitch or increase the pitch, you need to shorten the string or move the saddle toward the neck. Okay, so even with this bridge being messed up, I got it to intonate. So, and these strings, once they stretch out as much as they're going to, probably have to do it again. I thought at first that the guitar needed new pots because they were static, but it just ended up being this crappy wire that I'm using.